Good research habits start by looking at as many resources as possible, and some of those resources sometimes are only found on MyHeritage. So today I thought we'd take a peek under the hood at MyHeritage and see what some of my favorite features are and how it can help you. Now, when I was planning this episode, coincidentally, and I promise you it was total coincidence, MyHeritage reached out about a sponsorship, and well, I agreed to the sponsorship only if I could say what I wanted. So this is sponsored by MyHeritage, and for that, I appreciate it. Thank you, MyHeritage. All right, so if this is your first time here, my name is Connie Knox. I am a lifelong genealogist here to help you go further, faster, and factually with your family history research. There is a handout for this. Links about how to get the handout are in the description box below the video on the YouTube channel. There are also channel markers, chapter markers. If you want to skip around, you can do so to see the different features. All right, let's dig in. All right, when you first get to MyHeritage, you get to a page like this. Now, if you've never been to MyHeritage before, it is a website for genealogy. It has family trees. It even has a free software you can download and work on your family tree at home if you want. But when you first get there, this is what it looks like. Well, click on the MyHeritage logo and it can take you into your website. Now, they're having a sale right now, so I'm going to close that. So you can build family trees. They have a discoveries tab. You can do all kinds of really fun stuff with photos and colorization, that kind of thing. They also have DNA and they have research. They have records, and they are really big, especially in the United States, in the European areas. So this might be an opportunity to expand your family tree. So we're going to jump over to My Family Tree. Here we are in the family view, and it's a little hard to see, so I'm going to switch over because my tree is pretty big. And I've already imported my tree here, and I've been working on my tree for a while. And we've also got a fan chart. Now I'm going to show you some things that I discovered along the way. I'm going to show you a little bit about researching this missing couple in my family tree. So we're going to do that here in a few minutes. But one of the things I wanted to show you was on the fan chart, you can open this up to 10 generations, which nobody else is doing, which I think is awesome. So if I open that up to say 7 generations, you'll see it'll take a second. And now it's opened up to even more generations, and you can see, and I'm going to move around here. Let's see, I can hit the control button, I think, and zoom back. And yeah, so you can see that I've got some missing holes in my family tree. One of the things I like about it, though, is that it's colorized. So, the paternal line has a couple different colors. It's kind of colorized by grandparents, but then it also starts to slice it down into more colors, which is kind of fun. Now, before I get into doing some actual research down here, I just want to give you the lay of the land here. So on the home, we have some family events, some statistics about the tree, invite family, and site members. Honestly, I don't ever use that section. What I use are these down here. And so with the family tree, as you can see, I'm in the pedigree view, by the way, and you've got a gear icon for settings. You can explore that on your own. But if you want to import a Gedcom, here's where you would do that. So you would click into the Import Gedcom and upload a Gedcom. Now, what is a Gedcom, you ask? Well, a Gedcom is a industry format that basically downloads all of the data. That would be like the birth, marriage, death, residence, facts, all those facts. So if you have, for example, a tree on another platform, especially something like Ancestry, then you can then upload it here. So real quick, I'll show you how to download from Ancestry so that you could upload it to MyHeritage and save yourself a lot of typing. So here I am on Ancestry and I want to download my tree. So what I do, go to Trees, Create and Manage Trees. I find my tree, go to Tree Settings, and then scroll down and it says Export Tree. So I hit Export and I click Go. And it's generating a Gedcom file. And then, so just so you'll know, that does not typically download photographs and documents that you have uploaded. It's only pulling in the data. So even if you have imported a census record, for example, from Ancestry, it is not going to pull in that record. It might pull in the data, but it's not going to pull in the record. Okay. So now it gives you some download tips. You can click download and download that to your computer. You do not need to open this, just download it. Then back over here on the MyHeritage website, you can drag and drop that file right onto MyHeritage and it will automatically upload. It's that easy. Now, if you don't want to import a Gedcom file and you just want to start a new tree from scratch, it will prompt you to do so when you sign in to MyHeritage. But you can also add another tree. So I'm in the family tree manage trees area. You can add a family tree right here. Fill out the information and you're on your way. One of the things I really like about MyHeritage is they're very visual. And one of the cool features that you'll only find on MyHeritage is this timeline. Check this out. So you click on timeline and when it loads, it gives you this very visual representation of a timeline. So we've got the dates across the top here. We've got 4 generations selected, but we could go all the way to 9 generations if you wanted to. It does get kind of, you kind of have to zoom out to see it all, but it's really cool. So you can sit there and scroll through and look at all of your ancestors in a timeline and how they overlap, which I think is just really cool. And if you hover over some of this little gray slices in the timeline, it gives you some perspective on what is going on in the world. There's World War I, here's World War II. So this is kind of cool. And check this out. Way back here, American Civil War. Very cool. Love this feature. That's the timeline under the family tree. So here I am in the MyHeritage gallery, and there's actually a couple of ways you can get to this. Under the family tree, My Photos, or under Photos, My Photos. You can get there and you can click on someone and you can tag them if you want to. This particular one does not have a title, so I might give it a title and hit save. This was my step grandmother. Her name was Angie. She was an absolute sweetheart and was very instrumental in helping me find my Quaker ancestors. Yeah, that's a whole other story, but very cool. Okay, the other thing that MyHeritage also has under the family tree tab is the consistency checker, and it'll give you some heads up as to what you may be goofing up on. And so I should probably go through this list and work on it, but there are 400 consistency checks in here. I'm a big believer in one ancestor at a time. So work those consistency checkers on the one ancestor that you are currently working on. And that research question, I want to know more about X, Y, and Z. So don't get overwhelmed by this. Hey, we're going to get back to that video here in just a moment, but I want to let you know that Genealogy TV has a website, a newsletter, and a Facebook page. Links for all of that are in the show notes below. All right, let's get back to it. Check this out. Then this is a lot of fun. So if we go to Photos and we drop down to Colorize Photos, you can colorize photos, which is kind of cool, make it look really nice, but I did this whole other episode on this animated part. We'll get to that in just a second, but you can also enhance photos if you need to. And this animated part here just cracks me up. So what you can do is you can upload one of your ancestors' still images, not a video, but a still image, and you can then animate it similar to this. I've done this in the past and it's just a lot of fun. But you can create a whole family video from that, which is kind of cool. And that is under DeepStory. So if you go to DeepStory, check this out. This is a video I did with my great-grandfather. And so what's really cool is you can download that DeepStory right here, and it downloads as an MP4 file, which is a video file, and then you can use it in family reunions or presentations or whatever. Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Hello. My name is Herman Miller Madsen. I was born in Laramie, Wyoming in 1880 to Danish immigrants Christopher Madsen and Laura Augusta Nielsen. My father Christopher immigrated to the United States at the age of 22 in 1873.
So I'm not going to bore you with my family history story, but it is kind of fun and it really doesn't take long at all. In fact, it will build the story for you and then you can modify little bits and pieces if you don't like how it's putting it together, but you do have to have uploaded the images to your ancestor's profile, which is just way cool. I think it's just so much fun. Some people find that image of him is a still image that they made talk. And so you pick it may not be his voice, but you can pick the inflection, whether it's a male or female voice, etc. And so it's not his voice, and some people get creeped out by that, but I still think it's kind of fun. Okay, so we're going to jump over to the AI time machine, and I'm just going to let this run for a second and show you what they're doing. This was the founder of MyHeritage, and they ran him through the AI time machine. But basically, they're taking his face and several images of him and putting him into different characters, which is, again, kind of fun and something you'll only find on MyHeritage. MyHeritage has become one of my favorite genealogy resources for family history research. Now, you can upload your tree for free at MyHeritage, or you can start from scratch and start to build your family tree. You can also download their free family tree builder software if you want to research and keep it all on your computer, and then you can sync it with the MyHeritage online tree anytime you want to. Now, let me show you how I use MyHeritage. I have uploaded my DNA to MyHeritage, and I can use the AutoCluster tool to see all of my DNA cousins kind of grouped together by branch of the family, which is huge. And this saves a lot of time trying to group all of those DNA cousins manually. All right, one click. Grouping your DNA cousins. I have identified this cluster as coming from my Booth and Garrett lines. This is one that I'm actively researching. Another popular tool is the Chromosome Browser for those who are interested in a little bit more advanced DNA research. MyHeritage is also known for their worldwide records, especially European and United States records. This is perfect as I am researching my Danish and English ancestors. So if you want to learn more, I suggest you go over to myheritage.com and see what kind of discoveries you can find for your family history. Okay, let's jump into the DNA tools, because MyHeritage has some DNA tools that nobody else has, and I just think it's collectively the package of DNA tools that they have over here is pretty phenomenal. So again, if you have DNA on another platform, you should be able to download it, and then you can upload it to MyHeritage, or you can just take a DNA test at MyHeritage if you wish. Right now, it seems to be on sale, and I'll leave a link in the description box on how you can get a MyHeritage kit if you want to do that. But here's the deal with MyHeritage's DNA tools. So they have, the ethnicity estimates just like everybody else. And some people will ask, well, why are the ethnicity estimates different, say, on Ancestry's DNA ethnicity estimates versus MyHeritage? There's a lot of reasons. Briefly, the reason why is because their regions are different and because their reference panels are different. I was trying to find that word. So the reference panels may be different. And so what that is doing is it's taking your DNA matches and it's comparing them to family trees, but it's also really digging into how deeply rooted they are in each area. This is the same way it works on all platforms, is they've got a different reference panel. So MyHeritage has gone out and created reference panels. And so they're using some of that DNA comparison reference panel and comparing it to you. And when they find matches, it kind of collectively creates the regions because of the family trees and the regions in which those family trees reside with your DNA matches is starting to collectively use all that big data and put it together. And so in this case, it's showing I'm 44.7% Scandinavian. Well, on Ancestry, my DNA is somewhere in the 20s. I think it's 22% Danish, Swedish, but their region is different. So here, the Scandinavian region may be bigger and may include, Norway and some other areas that I may have some ancestry in. So don't get caught up on the ethnicity estimates. It's an estimate. And so don't let this drive your whole mission when it comes to working on your DNA. Use the tools, which are really cool. So MyHeritage has DNA matches just like everybody else. I'm not going to dig into that too much for privacy reasons, but some of the stuff that I wanted to point out here, especially we've got the Chromosome Browser, which nobody else has, which is cool. And I briefly showed you AutoCluster, so I'm not going to go into that again, but let's explore the Chromosome Browser for a moment. Now here what you can do is you can compare your DNA with others, and I'm going to set this up and then we'll come back and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So basically what I do is I am going to go and I'm going to add a DNA match. So to do that, I would pick people out of this group, and I've got things blurred out obviously for privacy reasons, but I can sit there and I can add people to the tree to see how we compare on the DNA side of things. I'm not going to use these two people. Let me go pick a couple people that I know are in the same side of the family. Now that I've got several DNA matches added, I can hit compare. And what you see here is where we overlap and have the same. So we've got chromosome number 1, chromosome number 2, and so on down the list. And you can see where we have shared segments on a chromosome, which is kind of cool. This is not a great example, so let me find one where you can see triangulation. So now here's an example on my Henle line where we triangulate. And if you'll notice down here, you see these boxes drawn around certain segments of different chromosomes. What this means is true triangulation. So to triangulate, you have to have 3 people that match in the same location on the same chromosome. So here is an example of where that happens. So basically, if you really want to get into the weeds on this, you could do a ton of research and start making notes of where these triangulated segments are. And technically, with enough research, you could rebuild the DNA of your ancestors, which is really cool. So you'd have to figure out who the common ancestors are between all 3 of us. And we can start mapping out some of our ancestors. Now, you can't do that on here. Usually we do this on an Excel spreadsheet and it's quite involved, but it's just kind of fun to know that these little segments, these triangulated segments, are coming from our common ancestors. Let me show you one more thing. Here, if I click on these 3 little dots, you have to hover over it first, click on the 3 little dots and say review the match. Once here, I can scroll down and I can see the common ancestors are Henry, Gustav Henle, and Nanny Winslow. So this couple here is represented in this DNA, right? So the 3 of us share this DNA from these positions, from point A to point B here, right? And so this 11.9 centimorgan segment comes from that ancestral couple, as does this one, as does this one, and so on down the line. It appears that all 4 of these segments are from that ancestral couple. Now that is cool. The more DNA cousins that we have that descend from this couple, the more this chromosome browser can get filled out with triangulated segments. Now you can triangulate segments with different people. For example, I could eliminate one of these people by adding or removing. I'm going to add somebody from this line. Let's see if I can get any more triangulated. All right, so there is another descendant from that ancestral couple by using my Henle surname just to search the matches. And I added them back in. So now the 3 of us share this part of the segment of chromosome 1. And you could sit there and build out the DNA. I just think it's very cool. Now, before you go asking me a bunch of questions about this, this is all I'm going to do. I'm not going to go any deeper into this because this is crazy advanced stuff and it is starts to get a little beyond me. I have played with it and have started started building those ancestral profiles, but to be able to turn around and build a whole ancestral profile and maybe turn around and upload it again to a platform, we're not there yet. We are still at the infancy of DNA research, but the more of you that take a DNA test now, before it's too late, we got to get our parents, our grandparents, whoever to take a DNA test, because it's going to benefit our children and our grandchildren and future generations, because they will start to be able to see very deep history. As this whole technology evolves, there is going to be an incredible awakening, I think, of how it all fits together. We are so early in the process. This is going to go well beyond our ability in our lifetime to really tease out a whole family tree out of DNA. You just can't do it right now, and I don't foresee it in my lifetime. But we are the explorers. We are on the frontier of DNA. And so if you haven't taken a DNA test, I encourage you to do so. Oh my gosh, you guys, we haven't even started any research yet. I've been just telling you about all the toys. Well, now I want to show you how I'm trying to discover this ancestral couple, the parents of Anker, Lawrence, and Jensen. All right, so let's quickly take a look at Anker because I'm trying to find his parents. So I can jump in and look at his profile, and I can research this person from here if I want. And right off the bat, I'm getting several family trees that are on Family Search and various other places that MyHeritage has linked with. And it is telling me that Anker Lawrence Jensen, his parents is Jen Sorensen Jensen and Ann Lynn Sorensen. And so I have work to do. In order to verify that, I want to start looking at records. Well, one of the first things I want to do is I want to go see if I can find a marriage record for these people and kind of start piecing this together to see if, in fact, these are the same people. Now, you got to keep in mind that Anker, when in the United States, when he came over, he changed his name to Anker Lawrence Jensen instead of Anker Sorensen Martin Jensen, as you see here. You can also see this is matching up with what I have, that he was born in Denmark and that he died in King County, Washington. So let's go do some research. So here I am on the research tab, and you can find all kinds of stuff. First of all, one of the coolest things that I have discovered on MyHeritage, of course, they have all the kind of records just like everybody else, birth, marriage, and death, and, you know, census records and directories and school stuff. But here's what I want to point out. If you go to the research tab and you go to the AI record finder, I just found, using this, an incredible little tidbit. I'm back on my family tree, and I told you that I was looking for these people. These would be the parents of Anker Lawrence Jensen. Now, he was born in Denmark. This is one of the powers that MyHeritage has. I'm not just saying that because the sponsorship here. This is a true little tidbit that I found the other day. So I'm sitting there researching my ancestors, and you can start a new chat, and this is an AI bot. It's helping you find, it's called the AI record finder. And I popped in there and it comes up with this little automated bot that says, you know, begin your search. What are you looking for? I said, I'm looking for Danish marriage records, because I wanted to find, I have some ideas about who it is, but I haven't really done any big digging. And it says, please provide the full name of the individual and any relevant details, such as the approximate date and place of the marriage in Denmark. Well, here's what I did. I'm like, okay, well, this guy was born in 1856, so they probably got married before then. So I'm going to say 1850-ish. I don't know. So I provided some more information about what this couple's names might be based on some other hints and things that were popping up. And it came up with the results. And so here it found the marriage record, which I thought was really cool. You can even click in and view the record. And if we zoom in a little bit, and there he is. I know that's hard to see, but it's Jen Sorensen, right? It gives me some information, which is very cool. So I'm going to close out of that. And here's what I did. I went and I took this information. So basically Google Translate is telling me that, you know, taking this information and plugging it in, I can now read that Kirsten, Jen's daughter, had an illegitimate child. And further information, right? So I have some more work to do because I need to do a lot of verification. I need to look at all the records. You know me, I'm going to go through and I'm going to do my full top to bottom workup and put it all into research notes and all of that to verify that this is the mother of my ancestor, Anker Lawrence Jensen. So I've got work to do, but oh my gosh, how fun. This is like a breakthrough for me. This may be the key to finding the information that I was looking for. So they have a lot of European records, so just be mindful that MyHeritage's research, and that was the AI record finder. I haven't even gone in and done all the collections. I got one more thing I want to show you. So at RootsTech this year, MyHeritage announced a new website called Old News, which is really fantastic. And so I was just goofing around in here and typed some information in here about my ancestors in Laramie, Wyoming, and I hit search, and bada bing, right there, Christopher Madsen. I can then drill in. Very cool. I can then download it, and yeah, it's so cool. So if we go back to MyHeritage and we click on research and then we drop down to newspapers, it'll take you to this page. You can do a similar search. So we could then also search right here, and I'm going to put Laramie in here. I'm going to hit search, and I get a bunch here as well. Let me show you something. If you scroll down on this first page, it shows you what collections of newspapers that MyHeritage has, and some of these have the old news icon on here that shows you what is available on the old news website. I really love this website, though. It is just so cool to look at. If we go all the way back to the beginning, I mean, this is just such a cool, they did a really good job. Watch this video if you get a second. It talks about historical events, and so you could certainly research the historical events for your ancestor as well. So we have a new resource for newspapers, which is really cool. So I wasn't able to talk about every detail that the MyHeritage platform has, but I think that gave you a really good look under the hood as to what MyHeritage has to offer. And a lot of these tools you are not going to find anywhere else. And so I love all of the platforms, including MyHeritage, especially for some of these tools that you cannot get anywhere else. So I thank MyHeritage for the sponsorship. I do appreciate it. And we'll catch you in the next video.